What is up, guys? How you guys doing today? Hopefully you guys are having a great time. You guys already know what it is, the Need More Mana podcast. And this is a special podcast because we're going to be we're going to be talking about some stuff about Revelations with Wilzor and Wrecked by Faith. And it's going to be pretty intense. And you guys already know what we do always before a stream is we share out that mofo. So let's go ahead and start this up real quick. Go ahead and get this shared out, and then we'll go ahead and bring them in. But you guys can ask questions, but if I know it's a question that's been asked a lot and it's been repetitive, I'm not gonna be able to go ahead and answer that, or they'll be able to answer that for you. I already have some stuff already right here that are genuinely asked questions. You can just read this out and you're all good to go. Let me go ahead and share this out to multiple places. I do appreciate peeps coming through and all getting ready for this type of stuff. What's up, Michael? How you doing, man? You ready for this, bro? Okay, let me check this out here real quick. Yep, okay, perfect. Yeah. Yo, what's up, Blood Fury? How you doing, man? The podcast is starting. It's gonna go great. It's gonna be pretty crazy, man. I cannot wait to see how this is gonna roll, how it's gonna be. I got a couple more places to share to, and we're gonna go ahead and start this up, all right? It's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun. If you want, share this out with your people. Let them know this is just gonna be a hype podcast. Revelations launches in 2 days. It's gonna be great. What's up, Luca? You're new here, man? Yo, what's up, Foxy, dude? Welcome. It's gonna be pretty fun, guys. Pretty fun, man. I cannot wait to go ahead and just dive in and do all this stuff with you guys. I think we should be good. All right, you guys ready for this? Are you guys ready for this stuff, man? Because I'm ready to go. We're gonna start right now. All right, let's go. We're gonna unmute this. And guys, you guys are my ear testers. If you feel that Wilzor or Rex voices are too low, let me know so I can adjust the sound. We did a sound test, but sometimes it could be iffy, all right? So let's go ahead and dive into this. All right, guys, so we're ready to go. Obviously, like I told you guys, we got Wilzor and Rex here. If you guys, for new viewers that are tuning into here that don't know about Revelations, you guys can go ahead and introduce yourself. Whoever wants to go first.
Well, go ahead, because you have the longer title.
Oh boy. My name is Wilzor. I am the core dev, I'm the launcher dev, website dev, server admin, and game server admin of Revelation WoW.
All right. Nice to meet you, by the way, Will. I am Wrecked by Faith. I am a client-side developer. I'm the world map editor. I'm the lead level designer, lead developer, whatever you want to call it truly at this point, considering we're skeleton, but that's me.
All right, guys. Well, nice to meet both of you guys, obviously. Okay, so let's just get down to the nitty-gritty. I know, right? It's just crazy. So you guys launched your launch trailer for Revelations, and it's just been freaking successful. Everybody's going crazy about it. What were your thoughts on that? Once you saw the hype just generating, once you saw the comments just starting to pour in, like, what were just your original thoughts on that?
Well, this is going to sound really messed up, so you're going to have to bear with me here and everyone else listening to the stream. But we knew this was going to happen. And the reason why we knew this was going to happen is because there's nothing like this out there currently. If you're a hardcore World of Warcraft fan like I am, for example, or Will is even, you'll know that when you're playing retail, it's really still and it's really frustrating. And when you head over to the private scene, you really don't have anything, so to speak, as far as I would say uniqueness. So when we're pushing this out, where we're releasing the Murloc, we're releasing Tuskar, we're releasing completely revamped zones, and we're trying to make it fully scripted and all this high quality, you have to expect some sort of following that's going to come along with it, especially when the whole of World of Warcraft, really, as a community, has been asking for this for years.
Yeah, no, it's been crazy. Wilzer, you want to say anything about that? Also, you're the one that came up with the ideas for the Murlocs and Tuskar.
Absolutely. So I'll say one thing is Blizzard has always sat here and said that they wanted to do something with the Murlocs, or they wanted to do this back right after Wrath, but they never did it. They never cared about their player base requesting it. I saw at least over 100,000 times on their forums was requested for Murlocs, and they just didn't care enough. And I have tons of Murloc memorabilia, merch, you name it, Murloc. I live it, I breathe it. I wanted to get it in this game for us, for all those players that wanted to actually enjoy hearing the amazing Murloc sounds.
Yeah, and that's why they dub you the Murloc King as well.
Yep, yep.
All right,
Yeah,
man. Yeah.
yeah.
I was really hyped for it. Like, I did my reaction video to it, and I wasn't even expecting that. I wasn't even expecting you to give us something that big. I was like, obviously, I seen the Murlocs, I went crazy, but when I seen the Tuskars, I was like, oh my god! Like, I've been wanting to play the Tuskar for ages. Once I seen them, just like, yes, that is what I want to do. That's what I want to play. And obviously, obviously the Murlocs are getting tons and tons of more love than the Tuskar, because like you said, they're you could basically call them the Pikachu of World of Warcraft. That's what
Yeah.
they're known for, basically. So obviously Murloc's getting tons and tons of hype, guys. But yeah, man, and you got like Aconian and other big people that are doing streams and videos, watching this and reacting to it, and they have pretty much good stuff to say about it. That's a really good feeling. If I were you guys, I'd be freaking ecstatic and really happy.
One thing I do want to say though is I'm more impressed with hearing somebody as big as Turtle Wow, one of the person from Turtle Wow, saying that they want to play a Murloc on our server. So like the rep that we're getting, because we're trying to expand past the normal horizon, is very heartwarming to hear from other private servers, not just us doing it, but by hearing it from them. That means a lot to us as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, I would say one of the biggest factors, truly, even being just inside this position, is in the WoW modding scene specifically, and I've personally been part of it for about a year and a half, but even just given by the stories and everything else I've heard, within the scene you have a really, really close-knit group. And that close-knit group usually doesn't reveal how they do it externally. You'll usually get fragments and things in here and there, but with our project, we've gained a tremendous amount of help in regards to finding out how we do certain things, certain bugs, from people who are a lot more experienced than us to help us get this project out there and do what we want to do and make it come to life. Not so much in a selfish act, but in a selfless act. And so, not to, of course, name anyone, because everyone within the scene wants to be, hush hush, but I do want to point out there and say thank you to everyone who has listened to us and been helping us out and helping us with our questions and so forth. Because, I mean, truly, if we couldn't learn originally how to do this, it wouldn't have been possible to begin with. So.
That's really nice to hear. Like, normally when people think about private servers, they think they're going to be against each other. Oh, don't do this on them. But it's cool to see that you two guys are talking, and they're happy, they want to play in the server as well. It's really nice to see that, and it brings like a different breath of fresh air, for us as a community as well. That's really great to hear. So we're gonna dive into the first thing here. So I really want to know for both of you guys, what has been like your favorite moment from developing this game?
Will you want to go first?
So my favorite moment is actually sitting down with Rec and coming up with some ideas with Rec. And we're able just to think outside the box and actually understand how certain things work and go, yo, That's an amazing idea. And actually get that in game and getting it functional. So that's my most favorite moment of building this server is having those deep conversations and being able to find things that we both thought WoW failed on or Blizzard failed on, and how can we actually do this correctly that the players will actually enjoy it. That's what we do, what I like.
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely have to say with Will there in that degree, but I would also have to say in regard to proving that this is all possible. For example, from a player standpoint, you see the world completely different from a dev. You look at a tree and you're like, oh, that tree is beautiful, or you look at flowers and you're like, that's gorgeous. When you look at from a development point of view, you ask yourself, how does that tree work? Why is it there? How is it positioned? What's underneath it? What's inside of it? Is it solid? Is it hollow? What is it? And so going into this project initially and trying to figure things out, I'll be flat out honest with you, despite all the help that we've been given, there's been times where me and Will specifically have been told that's not possible. What we're doing cannot happen and will not work. One of the things, for example, that were there is the world edits. I don't know if you really seen it before, but to this high level of editing, it wasn't really possible to do it on a Blizz-like map already. It was only possible to really do on custom maps where you had a completely clean slate. But we're editing Kalimdor and Azeroth, which are already Blizzard ADTs. So to be able to do that and say, hey, look, we can do it, and anything you say that we can't do, we will show you we can do. It's really incredible to do because it opens up a lot of people's eyes, and from a player perspective as well, it really makes you wonder what Blizzard has been doing. Take for example, whenever we edit a zone and we're say going throughout all of Alwyn Forest. When you start out, you're like, okay, so this was here for this reason. This tree is floating. What the heck? A really cool example, by the way. And if I talk too much, just let me know. But
go ahead, man.
This is what I get for being the level editor. Warsun Gulch. It's a very interesting yet beautiful battleground because obviously you have the orc side and you have the humanoid side, and you get the impression that you're somewhere within, say, maybe Ashenvale, but yet also in the Barrens at the same point, so you have that kind of separation. You feel like you're there. In reality, you're on a completely separate map. The trees that are behind the battleground location for the Alliance side aren't even actually in the ground. They're actually floating to create the hierarchy of the leaves hovering over the battleground. So they're not even in the ground. But you can't see that as a player, so it creates the illusion. And so as a developer, you start learning how these illusions work, whereas a player will never be able to see them. And so when you become a player as a developer, it becomes kind of difficult because you can spot things a lot easier. And when you're playing Blizzard games, you can spot things a lot easier as well. And I think it's partially why the community as well has gotten so upset with Blizzard over the past few years. Because even though the majority of people are players, we have a lot more knowledge on the arena and how things work. And we've seen games that are quote unquote better but have less players or whatnot, and we can see that others do it, so then we're like, why can't they do it? And I think that's where we're at now, and that's why I enjoy the most.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna say one thing here. I was never on the private server scene because I really didn't see anything that was worthwhile for me to be playing. I know there's other servers out there, but then once I seen I don't know, I'm an MMORPG tuber, obviously, so I have a lot of different videos that pop up on my recommended list of different, games, and I popped up on your guys' trailer, and I was like, what in the, I'm gonna swear, what in the fuck is going on here? Like, this is crazy. I've never seen anything done like this before, and then when I started to dive in more and just see all the work that you guys were doing, I'm just like, these guys, this is their passion project. Look at all the hard work they've done. And then when I actually got to play the game, an open beta 2, I spent hours upon hours upon hours in that game, just exploring, finding new things, trying out the new classes that change stuff. And it's just been it's World of Warcraft, but it's World of Warcraft in your guys' eyes, and it's freaking amazing. And I've just been enjoying it so much, man. I just can't wait till it launches as well.
Let me ask you a quick question, Mana.
Go ahead.
How many of those hidden treasure locations have you found while you're doing your level ups?
I think I only found one, and I know.
Oh, you got a lot more to find. They're out there. There's jump events that are hidden throughout the world. There's little hidden caves. There's mini bosses throughout. Like we put a lot of effort into this, and unlike the normal retail, you can actually feel that the world is actually alive. You see deer drinking water. You see deer running around. You see rabbits hopping all over the place, and they stop at one spot. There's so many things that we put in here that has never been done. Like Blizzard just didn't do it.
Yeah, and it's good to see all those events. It's gonna be really great, guys. Just wait till you guys. I know people in the comments want me to ask questions. We'll come to that soon, but just know that the people that have not touched or haven't even played this game, it's gonna be an eye opener for you guys. You guys are going to freaking enjoy it, guys. All right, so I think this question is more directed toward Rec. Some people and myself want to know, like, how hard is it redoing these zones and cities? Like, how much work do you put into it, man?
Apologize. So the maps themselves for the world maps, like you're actually playing, those are called ADTs. So when I get technical, I'll explain it because it gets a little bit advanced, but I'll try to put into simple terms. You have different types of maps. You have the world maps, you have the ADTs, which is the ground that you play on, and you have mini maps. And a few other maps, but we won't go there. Think of them as layers, so to speak. So in the world map itself, for the terrain that I call ADTs, if you've ever used Unity or Unreal Engine before, or any sort of modeling tool, I would say it's a replica of that. So if you become very good at what you do and you wanted to replicate my Goldshire, you could do it in a matter of 20 to 30 minutes. Now, with that being said, that also means you have to then do the world maps, which is your completely different because then you need an artist to create that zone. And then you also need to generate the mini maps, which is actually a head overview. So if we're just talking about the world itself, you could say that a person in my profession, say who's done it for a long time now at this point, constantly, you could get a zone fully done, no bugs, nothing, about the size of Elwyn Forest in about a week and a half to 2 weeks for just the ADTs alone. That's talking all the towns done, all the terrain done, trees, foliage, all of that completely done. Now, if you go to, say, the Barrens, that's where things become a little bit different. Now, there are tools that are starting to get released here, and things are slowly starting to change. But for now, as the current time speaks, every mountain that you do has to be custom designed. Every texture that you do, you can only have 4 textures on one ADT. So if you think of ADTs as tiles, tile sets, and you put them all together like a puzzle, they form a perfect square. Each one of those ADTs has many tile sets in them. So say one ADT has 20 tiles in them. Every one of those tiles can only have up to 4 textures. So it becomes really problematic when you're building, say, a beautiful landscape, because you have to have layers. For example, you have to have your dirt, your grass, your road. That just made up 3. Now you have to ask yourself, are you going to give your grass detail? Or are you going to add, say, a hill? If you add a hill, that's now going to be a rock texture. But now you can't texture the grass. And this becomes problematic, especially when you're designing the world, and it gets extremely, extremely technical in that sense. So I would say it's very difficult. It takes a lot of time, a lot more time than it is, say, being skillful, but you have to be creative. And if you don't do it right, and you don't use the right tools in the right order, you can really mess up the world itself, and you'll just get constant crashes.
That that sounds crazy. I wouldn't even. I would be lost doing all that type of stuff. So yeah, we have people in the chat saying, "Oh my God, you're making it sound easy."
Yeah. I tried making it sound easy, but then when you realize how many buttons there are with tools and everything else, it becomes complicated. But I will tell you this: after you've done it, and say you've done it for 2 days, even you get
Hmm.
addicted to it, because something I've learned doing this project, for example, is since you're using your creativity and you're putting your imagination to use, the time flies. And it sounds ridiculous, but you can be working on a zone for say 2 hours, and then you look at the clock and it's 8 hours. And it's not even because say you enjoy it. It's because you're actually like, I wouldn't say thinking. Usually when you're at work or whatever, you don't really have to think and you're like, oh, when's it gonna end? But with this, you're always constantly thinking, okay, what am I going to do next? How am I going to do this? How are the layers going to work?
Hmm.
And time just flies, man. It's no matter what. I have yet to meet someone, whether they hated it or not, tell me that the time didn't fly when they did it.
Yeah, no, exactly. I have someone here in the chat saying passion. Yes, finally. Yeah, both of these guys, they have so much passion for this project, and you can just see it. You see it in their videos. You see it when they talk. You see it when they do their dev streams. They have passion for this project, guys. They love it. They want to create a game that we could just come together and have fun and enjoy. Wow, how it's supposed to be, or how they had, how they envision it, basically. Um, Here goes something that I wanted to talk about, and plenty other people want to talk about too. And if you guys can answer this, I
Mhm.
totally understand. Um, so there's something called hardcore mode, and it's being really, really popular within obviously WoW, and we already mentioned Turtle WoW, so I'm going to say Turtle WoW as well. It's something really big, and it's really changes how you play World of Warcraft. So I'm going to say, like, with the rising popularity of hardcore mode, is there any chance of you guys wanting to implement that feature in the future?
Will, do you want to comment on this one? If not, I can answer it.
No, absolutely, I will. So I will say this: Mana did bring it to our attention that he highly would recommend us trying to do it. At this current state, I can't give you an ETA on when it's going to happen, but I can confirm we are going to have an hardcore mode for you all that you can go ahead and play. Now that means UI overhaul. That means core changes. That's revolving a lot of changes here, so bear with us, but we will get you guys some form of hardcore mode within a decent time frame. I just can't give you 6 months from now. I can't give
Mhm.
you an ETA. There's just a lot that involves in that, but I will be switching gears once we release into looking at how we can do the hardcore mode.
That's actually
Yeah.
really, really nice because I know a lot of people love this, and it's beneficial to the community. It brings more people in because sometimes people just want to play hardcore mode, so it expands the community basically. It's really fun,
But let
man.
me ask you this,
What's up?
Mana. Let me ask you this, truly, and this is a question that this is kind of thinking of this like a developer for a moment
Hmm.
here. What is hardcore to you?
Um, Hardcore to me is just like right now when I'm playing it, it gives me this feeling of a rush and like I only have one life, so I'm playing the game
Mhm.
differently. I'm doing things differently than how I would normally play, World of Warcraft. I'm actually thinking about my strategies for when I'm pulling mobs. What area should I quest in? And yesterday I did my first hardcore dungeon, which was just a different experience from just going in and blasting through the dungeon like how we normally do. No, it was just a different experience. Like we had a couple of times where we almost died, and it's just like, oh my god, it's like a crazy moment. So I think it just gives me a different feeling to play. Like I could play how WoW was normally made, not with hardcore mode. But once you get a little bit of hardcore mode in there, it really changes how you think about playing World of Warcraft, and it just brings out more fun for it.
Now I have
No,
a question
definitely.
for you. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
Um,
100% go for it.
So, Mana, so you have done our dungeons that we have on our beta, which they're already difficult. Imagine if we took that difficulty and spent it with hardcore. How would you feel about that?
I think that would be amazing, and it would be a whole different type of experience. Because from what I played, though, like guys, I'm being serious. These dungeons are hard. They are hard. So it would be just basically a whole big different experience. And yes, the challenge would be there for us PvE players that want the challenge. That challenge will be there with those dungeons. I think that'll be really freaking fun. And if we die, well, we die and we make new characters and we try it again. That's the whole point of hardcore, man. You learn from your mistakes and you just keep on going.
No, 100%. I'll say it like this though, and I'm always a more theoretical such type of guy like this, so I apologize. I make your guys' head spin a little bit. But the way you were mentioning the hardcore, I want to emphasize something on it, going back to one of your previous questions before, is you mentioned, and the key word that you said here was think. You mentioned how whenever you're playing hardcore mode, you have to think about stuff and you play the game differently than you normally would. That's the whole point when you're playing our game, is you have to think outside the box here, because the original world that you once knew isn't the same that it was. And so the issue that you see commonly happen now, even in the retail, is you know everything. You know how things happen. You know how this works. You've leveled the same characters 40 plus times. Whereas inside this new world that we're releasing here, it's new, it's custom. You don't know what to expect around the corner. And so when we talk about hardcore mode, normally what you see within the private server scene is you see a common mode where you have one life and you call it a day. Some people do one life, 1 times XP, and then call it a day there. When we look at hardcore mode, we ask ourselves further, how can we actually make it truly hardcore? Because if we're going to stamp it, we don't want it to just be the next, oh, whatever. So just like Will was saying, what if the world is harder? What if to the degree, say, mobs are harder? What if things are a bit different? That way, then things aren't the same, because we want to always keep you guys thinking what's going to happen next. And if you guys have that hype and you have that, excitement, and you have that adrenaline pumping, that's what makes the game really fun.
Yep.
Not going in and doing it as a job 9 to 6 and falling asleep.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, definitely. I understand where you're coming from as well, and it just even makes me happy that you guys are considering the hardcore mode and thinking about it and everything like that. It just makes me happy because it's a game mode I love and just something that's out of the box for me. So, if you guys have anything more to say on that, we'll move on to the next one right now. So, this is something that I really want to ask you guys because I don't think people have really asked you guys this question. So I want to know, like, what are some stuff as you as developers would love to see in your game? What are some stuff like you want to add?
Oh God, Will.
Oh boy. So a lot of the features that we're adding into the game, and I know Rick can confirm this too, has came from my brain. A lot of the ridiculous out of this world things come from my brain, and this is how Rick and I work. It's quite a interesting combination. I take my brain, I throw it into a paper. He takes his idea, we mash it together, and we make it happen. Yeah. That's one thing that we do really good at, is give you an example. Stormwind, that was my idea. I wanted to make it feel like Italy. He takes the idea, he makes a basic outline, and we just build it together. Same with Thunderbluff. That was another one of my idea. I never understood why they were so low on the ground. The whole atmosphere about Thunderbluff didn't make sense to me. And that's where we took our vision that I had, and Rec takes it, puts it in game, and then we fine tune it together. So it's always a team effort, but a lot of the ideas come from my big brain. Go ahead, Rec.
Yeah, I will definitely say this for sure. When it comes to capital cities, for example, I mostly, for the most part, definitely let Will, in that regard, say, hey, this is an idea we have here. Because normally I look at the city, I'm like, okay, we have a city we're going to redesign. How are we going to do it? And so when we look at Stormwind's always a great conversation because it had so many problems, especially since it was our first one, or our baby, if you will. Stormwind was a big problem because when you look at the movie for World of Warcraft, everyone sees Stormwind and they're like, "Wow! Like, yes, that's the Stormwind I've always wanted. Like, it's so big." And then you go play WoW and you're like, "Oh." So we really wanted to give that feeling that it is huge again, that, oh my god, it is enormous. Now, of course, over time, it's going to feel like it's your new standard size and everything else of the sorts. But there's only so much you can truly do in a city before certain parts just players don't go in and things like that. And so we had to take that into consideration. And one of the biggest factors that played into it was water. Obviously, now it's a little bit more obvious to a degree, but we were throwing hints at it before earlier. When you were in Darnassus, you had, I believe, Murloc huts inside Darnassus in the corner of the map. You had these canals within Stormwind, and you had a Murloc on one of them that would kill you. And so we would leave subtle hints here and there in certain locations. But TLDR of it, we wanted it to feel really canal-based. And the original idea, unfortunately, we really couldn't get close to it, is you could go anywhere in Stormwind with water. That was the original idea, is you could go anywhere with it. What ended up happening, unfortunately, is it was more or less the water was a center point that was wrapped around the prison. That's in the center, so to speak. I won't go into detail on that, but pretty much it's there. Something's causing shakiness to happen there, and that's why the water is emerged, and it's happening. And they've had to like lift up their city, so to speak. But with Will, I didn't know where to start, and so I asked Will, "Hey, what are we going to do here?" And Will came up with the idea with Italy, and so that's where we decided to come up with canals. Then we realized the terrain is too high. We can't do that. So then we decided to still make it watery, but at the same point, it'd be kind of like the separation between different districts instead of just constantly walking. And then we started adding in boats, and then we have like a boat lift location on the dock where you could actually see it, almost like a falling down waterfall, if you will. So we definitely thought outside the box in that one. With Thunderbluff specifically, Will had a problem with it not being so high. I'll admit it was kind of ridiculous too. But the other big issue that we ran into Thunderbluff is we really wanted it to feel like you could actually get into Thunderbluff from different ways. You didn't just have to go up and down an elevator. And sure, inside the lore you would see it say, that was the way of them being, having defenses. But if you look at our current Orgrimmar and you see how the Horde is feeling right now, you see that they're a lot stronger than they were back in retail. So it would only make sense that the Torns feel more safe branching out than they would before.
That's really good. Like, I'm gonna say this, once you guys get into these cities like Stormwind, Thunderbluff, the only city that I have not went to visit, which was in the undead area. I don't know what we're calling. You guys know what we're calling that city right now, man? Any names?
Upper City?
You call
Upper City? Yeah.
Upper City.
Did you say Upper City?
Upper City, yeah.
Upper City.
City.
I haven't visited Upper City, but I visited all the other ones. And guys, when I say these things are like just revamped, like changed differently, they really are. Stormwind, right? This is gonna go on to the next question. Stormwind by far is my favorite city.
Thank you.
I love Stormwind. Stormwind is beautiful. It was great just exploring it, seeing all the new things added to it. And then my second favorite one has to be when I go into Darnassus, and it's so beautiful, guys. It is so freaking beautiful. Like, you guys have to go check it out for yourselves and just see how it is. And that, like I said, it ties into the next question. I want to know from both of you guys, what is your favorite cities, your favorite zones and cities? Like, what are your favorite ones? You can only choose one, so it's gonna be hard.
All right, dead air time. I'm just kidding. Well, do you want me to answer this one first, or you want to say it? 'Cause I'm pretty sure you're just going to say it. All right. There's actually one thing I want to comment on after, but anyways, I would say my favorite city of all currently that everyone can go in, because I do have an ultimate favorite, but the current one everyone can actually go to right now, at least for either Horde or Alliance, it would have to be Orgrimmar. because I have a lot of childhood memories of Orgrimmar, and it really made me happy every time I went into it, because you had the orcs and you saw everyone. But growing up, especially being in a house filled with World of Warcraft, it always made me sad that when it went over to Cataclysm, it didn't feel right. It didn't make sense. It just felt like it was too small, and it got even smaller. And it always upset me that this is just a personal pet peeve,
Mhm.
but it always upset me that they put the War Chief room right in front next to the Orgrimmar entrance, like as if Alliance could just run into the
Exactly.
king, if you will, and take him out, and then leave and call it a day. Whereas, say for example, Stormwind, you have to go through all these different districts that get to the king. So with Orgrimmar specifically, I love it because it's the way I've always imagined it, and the way I've always believed that other Horde players have imagined a Orgrimmar.
I like that answer a lot. All right, Wilzor, you have your one favorite zone or city?
Oh boy, you said zone.
Zone or
Then
city, man. Be whatever you
I'll
want.
say Azeroth. There you go. That's a zone,
Hey, big brain moves, right? Big brain moves
right?
by Wilzor right there. His favorite zone is Azer. The whole entire damn zone.
Hey, you asked, I answered.
What a freaking big brain. This is why I get so along with Wilzor here. I swear, man. You too, Rec. I love you too, bro. Don't worry. All right, you're included in this
No
love as well.
It's alright. I'll let you two get a room.
Oh my god. All right. So we're getting close to closing up this podcast, guys. We got just one more question, and then we'll just do a little closeout on. This is just one that I wanted to ask, because I don't know what your preference is, but I want to know if you guys are Horde or Alliance. What's your preference? What's your favorite?
I already know Rex. I'll go ahead and go with mine. So, I used to be 100% Horde.
Mm-hmm.
Then I switched to Alliance about WOD time frame, and I've been Alliance ever since.
But hang on here. Why did you swap to Alliance? This is important.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
let me
come
know.
on.
Why'd you swap, bro?
Yep.
What
If you're
happened?
throwing yourself under the bus like that, I have to make sure I throw you under there harder.
My
Come on.
my ex didn't want to sit there and watch the screen with some ugly green men.
Real, really?
That's
Yep.
what she said.
Yep.
Yeah. She was not a gamer whatsoever, and I got her into WoW. It was her first ever game she ever played on the PC. I actually designed an add-on so she could play with her controller, so she can actually play the game correctly. She couldn't
Ooh.
use the keyboard and mouse. So I created everything so she could be able to do that right from her controller. Created the software because we did all of this on a Linux box, so I had to create the Linux software to be able to use the controller. And I did everything and made it so she can actually play. And she
Wow.
forced me to go Alliance.
Oh my god, I have someone here in the chat saying, I am happy he said X. I was like, oh, I had to read that comment out because that was just thrown out there, man. Oh man, that's a lovely story time with Wilzer, guys. You had to bring a story
Right.
first. All right.
I love Horde specifically because of more or less what they stand for. If you look, they feel like they're the type of people who are rebellious. They're outcasts. They're people who no one wants to have, and the no one, if you will, would be the Alliance, if you will. And for me personally, and at least I would say growing up, if you will, it had a connection with me. And my father always did Horde as well, to that degree, and I was very close to him. I still am very close to him. So it was always nice to me, and I never had the correct connection with Alliance because for me personally, they were too quote unquote perfect, if you will. And that's why I always stayed Horde, and I think to this day, I'm still a Horde fan and not an Alliance fan. Because I've been over to, obviously, Alliance as well, but it's just not for me.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that as well because my uncle is the one that got me into World of Warcraft, and he passed away, and I took over his account, and he's always been a horde person. We, when I was like what 9 or 10 years old, and we would play. I remember being on my Tro hunter, and I would be selling stuff just to get the freaking the white graded armor from those shops. I was just a kid collecting pets, and just those memories of me with my uncle playing the game, and just I have more of a connection with the horde side. So I definitely understand. I feel how you feel about that section too. So
So
what?
I would like to also say this
Mhm.
quick. So on the horde side, I have a character. It's a hunter, and it actually has a lion, but I named it Sam, named after one of my dogs that passed away when I was around 13 years old. I had to sacrifice that to go play on the lion side.
Jeez.
Yeah, yeah. Like it was a big thing, so I was really, really devastated, but I did it for the greater good.
No, no,
Yeah.
I feel you.
Um, Man, I will
Yeah.
would like to slash talk to you about a few other things though before you do go into closing.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Um, in regards to it, is you mentioned before Darnassus, and this is
Mhm.
something that I do want to bring up as well. Is that you said that you enjoy Darnassus. Now, did you
Mhm.
like Darnassus after you saw the stone buildings, or were you before that time?
The only when I visited Darnassus, there was an open beta 2. So that's the only time when I went to visit it when I was
So,
leveling my druid.
so this is a great example of what we're doing here, and it's kind of crazy, truly, in regard. But when we first made Darnassus, our original idea was to make it primarily out of stone buildings and architecture,
Oh wow.
but due to the limited assets we had to use wood um, assets, and so we went to Darnassus and we made it for the first time. I think this was what will this final closed beta when we released Darnassus.
Yep,
Was that the
yep.
time?
There's right in between OB1 and OB2 is Open Beta 1 and Open Beta 2.
Yeah.
Is right when we pumped out doing Darnassus. That was Reckon Eye's big idea. That was such a big idea that we did with that. We took his picture, we thought about how we wanted to do it, and we made that actual picture come to life. Like, legit, we did everything in our power to replicate that exact picture. It's really amazing what we came up with.
No, definitely. And so with Teldrassil, it was always frustrating that it was so small of a zone. And you see it
Hmm.
all the time. You read about it that it's supposed to be huge, enormous, that you could live on the roots basically and not worry about life, if you will. And so with Teldrassil, it took us a lot of time, and it's one of my favorite zones, but it's not my all-time favorite of zones because when we first started it and we showcased it to everyone, there was a 50-50 people disliking it and liking it. And the primary reason why people weren't liking it was because of the architecture, and the second part was also because of the horde invading. People were getting flashbacks, I believe, back to BFA where they burnt
Hmm.
down the tree, and so people were really upset. So what me and Will did is we went back to the zone and we redid a bunch of the buildings. And we took a look and we said, okay, let's try to do what we were trying to do before because now we have a little bit more time. And so we went through again, listening to the community, and we changed it to how everyone saw and believed that it should have been. And so they weren't still happy that the horde was invading, but they were much happier with what Darnassus looked like afterwards. And you can see the original Darnassus on our showcase because I never showcased the newest one, but you can see the opening screen for the new Darnassus that we had for Open Beta 2 on our trailer. It's like the opening scene, a clip of one of the buildings and towers that we had opened up instead. But Darnassus was a mess. We cleaned it up because the community wanted it. We're continuing to repeat this pattern, and going into release, we're planning to do the same thing with every zone that people come across. If they run into an issue, we're going to try to fix it right away. There's some things we won't be able to explain to everyone why we have things there, and at first you guys may be upset on seeing something, but we're going to take your feedback. We're going to hope you give us some more trust and, Blizzard nowadays. And if you like it, then we go from there. If you don't, then obviously we change scripts.
Oh, definitely. Darnassus was beautiful when I went in there and just exploring, like how you said, like people said that Told Your Soul was small, but when I played Told Your Soul, the Told Your Soul you guys made, I'm like, holy, it was ginormous. It was crazy, man, and I just loved it because it felt like it was just a brand new spanking zone. I was just going through, seeing all the stuff that you guys done. It just looked freaking amazing, man. And, kudos to you guys for doing that, and also listening to the community and fixing up stuff as well. That's really good.
Yeah, for sure, man.
All right, guys. So we're getting close to the closeout. We're basically gonna close out right now. But if you guys have any questions you want to ask, I'll only pick a couple, and that's it. I'll pick probably 2 or 3, and that's all. If you guys want to ask anything. Only 2 or 3 questions, and we'll go ahead and close this out because I'm getting so many questions from you guys and about the Tuskar, which yes, Murlocs and Tuskars, they're gonna be neutral races like the Pandaren. You gotta go ahead and get through their quest zone, and you're gonna choose which faction you want to go with. So I mean, I got all this stuff already written here to answer those basic questions. You guys could definitely join it. I mean, I'll ask this question, but I don't think it's. They want to know if you have any plans on Mythic Plus, which is something I know you guys
why
spoke
don't you
about
answer that one?
Well, guys, their dungeons are hard enough already. I'm just gonna say if they wanted to add a Mythic Plus, it's gonna be pretty stinking hard, and I don't know. I don't know how to play through because the difficulty of that dungeon, like on level and everything, even with gear, it's pretty hard. I mean, it'll be pretty cool, but I mean, the difficulty's there already, basically. The launcher win.
All right, so let me answer the Mythic Plus thing. I am looking at possibilities, but I can't confirm that that's something we're looking at exactly doing. We could do potentially like an additional hard mode, or do something like a heroic mode. Something like that. I'm looking at all possibilities to increase the difficulty even more, amp it up with a higher reward, a daily or a weekly cash, to somewhere. Like there's going to be something in here. Like the difficulty isn't going to end. I want to make it harder than it is now. That's what I want to say. But I want to do it as a community vote. I don't want to do this just me. Exactly. I want to know what you guys have to think. If you guys all want Mythic Plus, I'll put it in there. If you guys want to have, just a heroic mode for level 20, I could do it. I want to know what you guys feel, and then we'll talk about it when it comes down to after launch, and I got time to sit down to see what needs to happen.
Exactly. That's a good answer right there. Let me see. I know everybody's talking about the launcher win, guys. Whenever they're ready, they're going to announce it. All right. I know you guys are really wanting to know, but they're working their butts off, and once they're ready, they're going to announce it, and then we could all download it and just wait for the 15th, right? That's what we're waiting for. So Rec, I think this one's for you, man. There's a lot of talk about Told Your Soul and Darnassus and Elwyn and Stormwind, but what's the state of Dunmoreau and Lochmodan, Ironforge? I know that you guys said that you're not doing anything with Ironforge, right? But I know Dunmoreau and Lochmodan, you said they were gonna get like a little facelift or something like that.
So, and I'll explain the reason too briefly on Ironforge as well, because I know there's been a tremendous amount of questions here, and it's it gets problematic because you explain it to one person, and another person joins and asks the same question, and you're like, here we go. So, Dunmoreau, Lochmodan, hell, let's go with it. Elwyn Forest, Durotar, Barrens. I'll explain all this over vocal, because I don't think I've done it before over vocal, but rather only text. This will kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Mm-hmm. The world is pretty, and yes, Dunmoreau and Lochmodan will be changed. But the world is pretty, and the terrain itself hasn't been that modified based off of the lore that we're doing here. So your 1 to 20 zones that you're going to be in right now, you're going to be playing, you guys are going to be having fun in, are going to be, say, the quote unquote happy, jolly life areas. That's where you're going to enjoy your time the most, so to speak. Your 20 to 40 is obviously from that point where me and Will are most likely going to open up World PvP a lot, obviously, because you guys will be able to go back and forth. For now, it's going to be confined. No transports on. Obviously, you'll have battlegrounds, things like that, and GM events where World PvP may be enabled, and you guys can battle it out together. But for the most part, will be confined. And so 20 to 40 zones, because of that specific reason, we're looking to make them extremely terrifying, like actually scary as hell. So the world itself is not going to be pretty, and I won't spoil it for much people, but there's a reason why the Barrens has a bit of a character issue where it's happy but it's terrible all at the same time because of this reason. The moment you guys hit 20 to 40, it's no longer Treeville. It's just not happening. There's some zones that will obviously be characterized in that regard, but nowhere near the extent of what it was now. With that being said, however, Dunmorrow makes you feel like you're a small person in a big world. We made sure the trees were high and tall, so that way you actually feel tiny. No matter what race you are, you feel super tiny inside of that zone. Lac Moran also got a facelift as well in that regard, where it's a lot greener, it's a lot more lush, because obviously there's a quote-unquote lake there, or dam, whatever you like to classify that area as, or loch, whatever. It's a lot more greener, but it feels at the same point in time a little bit more open in that regard. But the terrain itself has not been modified tremendously in any respect in that regard. When we hit the 20 to 40 era, that's where I really am going to kick in. You're going to see a lot more massive world edits where it's going to become a lot more custom. Not insanely custom, but a lot more custom. And then 40 to 60 is where we go all out, if you will, and everything's hell, break loose. So you can think of the world right now as happy, jolly, and by the time we're done with it, it's going to look like the Nether Storm. If you compare it from 1 to 60. So just think of it like that. And that's the same way with the customization of the zones from 1 to 60. First it's 60 is going to be like, oh my god. So yeah. I think that knocks out two birds with one stone there.
There's a lot that you guys and, well, me and the community are going to be looking forward to. Like, these guys, they're working their butts off, guys. This is why I really want to close the stream out so they can get back to work and doing their stuff. But to answer the hardcore question, it's being considered and all that. Guys, the launch date is on the 15th. So yes, so you guys know all of that. But yeah. This is basically it for the stream. Thank you guys so much. Like I said, we don't know the time it's going to be, the server's going to open up. Like I said, they're going to announce it on their server. So make sure you join their Discord server. Bandit, if you could go ahead and please link their Discord server real quick so they could just join it. But I just want to give a quick thank you to Wilzor and Rec for, taking time out of their busy already day to come here to do this podcast with me to just get some more information out to you guys and just so you get to know your developers some more. Really great people, really down to earth, a really great community as well, guys. And I'm really, happy to be a part of it, and I'm really happy to be here with all of you guys. And yeah, we're waiting for the 15th, guys. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want to say bye-bye, Wilzor and Rec, you guys can go ahead too.
Go ahead, Rick.
All right. Bye. No, I'm just kidding. Have a good one.
Have a good one, guys. We love you all, man. Take care. We'll see you guys on the server. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.